Lenin Street in Vitebsk is the central thoroughfare of the city. Its length is 2,500 meters, and it is here that the iconic sights of Vitebsk loom before the guests of the city. Lenin Street is extremely beautiful, because historical gloss and modern gloss are combined here. This is a place where the past and the future are connected into a single whole, and picturesque views of Vitebsk open up. Pre-revolutionary buildings have been preserved on Lenin Street, and its odd side is almost completely Soviet. Lenin Street has had several renames in its history, but only in 1923 it received its name in honor of Lenin. It stretches from south to north, along the western Vina, from Victory Square to Smolenskaya Square. Victory Square. The street originates from Victory Square, which is one of the largest in Europe. It occupies 7 whole 22/100ths of a hectare. On the square there is a memorial complex in honor of the liberators, partisans, and underground workers of the Vitebsk region. The main memorial structure of the city opened for the millennium of Vitebsk in 1974. The complex includes pools of 2 fountains, 10 granite pylons, sculptural compositions, and the main monument. It consists of 3 trapezoidal 56-meter obelisks made of reinforced concrete and marble chips, united at a 6-meter height by a monolithic frieze, on the sides of which are placed reliefs of war, partisans, and underground workers. The eternal flame is burning at the foot of the monument. Pokrovsky Cathedral is an Orthodox church in Vitebsk, a monument of monumental cult architecture of the 19th century. It was built in 1814 year in the classical style as a church of the Trinitarian monastery on the site of a wooden church, laid in 1758 year. After the uprising of 1831, the church was closed, and its inhabitants, monks, were expelled from the city. A shelter for orphans was opened in the former residential monastic building. 6 years later, a women's prison was built in the shelter building, which existed here for many years. After the Great Patriotic War, a pre-trial detention center. In 1986, it was decided to restore the temple building. In 1989, the Council for Religious Affairs under the Council of Ministers of the USSR decided to register the Second Religious Society of the Russian Orthodox Church in Vitebsk. On the 14th of October, 1990, on the Feast of the Intercession of the Most Holy Theotokos, the first divine service was held in the church. On the opposite side of the street, opposite the Pokrovsky Cathedral, there is the Lenin Regional Library. The building was built in 1967 year and occupies an area of about 5,000 square meters with a large book depository, reading rooms for 500 seats. Today, the library is an information, scientific, methodological, cultural center. The library's fund is more than 700,000 copies, including periodicals, sheet music, maps, visual materials, audiovisual documents. In front of the entrance to the library there is a monument to the Belarusian writer, a native of Ushachsky district of Evdokia. Belarusian writer Evdokia Los was one of the symbols of the development of national cultures of the multinational USSR. One of the streets of the railway district of Vitebsk is named in her honor, housing stock and landmark houses. Behind the library on the left side of Lenin is almost a solid wall of pre-revolutionary provincial buildings. Of interest is the house number 18, where in the year 1890 lived the famous Russian writer Gleb Ivanovich Uspensky, and during the war there was an underground turnout of medical workers. Practically, it is followed by building number 28, another Chagall address, where the famous artist studied. Summer Amphitheater, Summer Concert Hall. The main concert venue of the International Festival of Art Slaviansky Bazaar in Vitebsk. The capacity of the auditorium is 6,219 seats. The Summer Amphitheater is located at the intersection of Frunze and Lenin Streets. Since 1992, every year, the concert hall has hosted the main concerts of the Slavic Bazaar Festival in Vitebsk. Almost all famous pop artists of the CIS countries performed on the stage of the amphitheater. Having risen a little further, the town hall appears before us, the business card of the city, an architectural monument of the 18th century. It is located in the city center at Lenin Street, 36. The building houses the Regional Museum of Local Lore. In 1597 year, the King of Poland and Sweden, the Grand Duke of Lithuania Sigismund III granted the residents of Vitebsk the Magdeburg right. On the basis of this right, an elected self-government body, the magistrate, was created in the city. For the meetings of the magistrate on the market square, which later became known as the town hall, the original wooden town hall was built in the Vzgorsky castle. In those days, the town hall was a symbol of the self-government of the city. In the 19th century, the town hall housed the city council, the court, the city bank, the police and the fire yard. The tower of the town hall served as a fire tower. Until now, the people often call the town hall a tower. In the immediate vicinity of the town hall there is a monument to Algerd, an equestrian sculpture on the market square in Vitebsk, the first and only monument to Grand Duke Algerd in Belarus. The Church of the Resurrection of Christ. The temple was built in 2009 here on the model of the church of the 18th century, which stood on this site and was destroyed in 1936 year by decree of the city authorities. The motivation interfered with the movement of urban transport. It is characteristic that a few years later, in the 1940th year, the destroyers of the temple were accused of Trotskyism and excesses. The exact time of the construction of the first wooden church on this site is unknown. Most likely, this is the first half of the 16th century. For the first time, the Orthodox Market Resurrection Church is mentioned under 1558 year in an ancient leaflet enclosed in the four Gospels of the 16th century, stored in the archive, in Moscow. Shmyrev Park. The Park of Partisan Glory named after Min and Shmyrev is located in the city center, at the end of Lenin Street on the high left bank of the western Dwina. The borders of the main part of the park are Lenin Square. About 800 woody and shrubby plants have been planted in the park. Among them are linden, Canadian and pyramidal poplars, common ash, holly and red maples, fluffy birch, blue spruce, white acacia and others. A board of honor has been installed. The area of the park is 7/7 of a hectare. The Vitebsk Regional Philharmonic Hall is located on Lenin Square. The building itself was built on the site for the pre-revolutionary city theater. Initially, the building housed the Palace of Culture of the Department of Consumer Services of the population on the basis of a typical project of the club. At the moment, the Philharmonic holds about 1,000 concerts not only on its stage, but also throughout the region and beyond. The audience is over 150,000 people of various categories, urban and rural residents, adults and children of all ages. Lenin Street in Vitebsk is the main thoroughfare of the city, the central street, which has all the signs of the main street. It is wide and well-groomed, proudly crosses Vitebsk from Victory Square to Smolenskaya Square. Lenin Street is extremely beautiful, historical gloss and modern gloss are combined here. On Lenin Street there are sculptural groups that are the sights of the city. We invite you to visit the city of Vitebsk and enjoy its beauties.